breaking free from the abuse script, the light of independence in Colorado. My fingertips traced the texture of the leather sofa armrest casually. I looked up at Caden Cole, whose face was ashen, my tone calm yet every word sharp as a Rocky Mountain icicle piercing his heart. What's wrong, Mr. Cole? Just now you were offering me $1 million to spend the night with you. Why are you standing there like a wrong child, not moving? Caden's fists were clenched so tight his knuckles turned white, his eyes filled with disbelief. In his script, I should have either cried and refused or accepted humiliatingly, then let him trample on my dignity. He never expected me to be so nonchalant, even turning the tables on him. I chuckled softly, sitting up from the sofa and smoothing my skirt slowly, as elegant as if I were attending a high-end dinner at the Denver Art Museum, not in such a degrading situation. Caden, do you think I should grovel for money like all the women chasing you? Or do you think an orphan raised by Martha, the scavenger grandmother from Boulder, is only worthy of being insulted by you? I took step after step toward him, my gaze sharp as a knife, piercing his hypocritical mask directly. You keep saying I've defiled love with money, but who's really defiling it? It's you. You measured our 3-year relationship with $1 million, trampled my dignity in this dirty way. When you courted me, you said otherwise. You said you loved my resilience and independence, that you didn't care about my family background. Have you forgotten already? Caden was left tongue-tied, opening his mouth but unable to say a word. I knew men like him, heirs to Colorado oil tycoons, cared most about their ridiculous pride and the pretense of pure love. And I was determined to tear that pretense apart. I leaned in close to his ear, my voice dropping with a faint hint of mockery. Besides, do you really think your $1 million is something to brag about? When your mother came to me, she offered $10 million to leave you, and I turned it down. Your $1 million isn't even a fraction of that. How dare you show it off? Stepping back, I sat down on the sofa again, picked up the Colorado Mountain spring water glass from the table, and took a sip gently, my posture calm and composed. But since you've brought it up, I'm not entirely opposed. It's just spending a night for $1 million. Isn't that a bit too cheap, Mr. Cole? With your status, you shouldn't be this stingy, right? Caden's face turned from ashen to a liverish red. He stared at me as if he wanted to devour me whole. But I didn't flinch. Instead, I met his gaze head-on, my eyes brimming with defiance. After all, I was the female lead who'd escaped from that lousy abusive novel. I'd seen far worse storms than this. His petty tricks were utterly beneath me. What? You think it's not worth it, Mr. Cole? I set down the glass, my tone light. Then forget it. Anyway, I'll find a way to pay for my grandmother's medical bills. At worst, I'll ask someone else who's willing to help. After all, you're not the only man in the world, and not everyone is as shallow as you. I paused deliberately, my gaze sweeping subtly below his waistline, a meaningful smile curving my lips. Besides, to be honest, with your attitude, even if you gave me more money, I might not agree. Who would want to spend a night with someone so rude and tasteless? Caden trembled with anger, yet he was helpless against me. He had never imagined that one day he would be cornered by a poor girl he looked down on. As for me, watching him in such a sorry state, I felt nothing but the joy of revenge. The life of an abused novel heroine mattered too. Since I had escaped death, I would never let anyone control me again. From today on, I would write the rules. Caden's Adam's apple bobbed, and his tense shoulders relaxed slightly. Seeing my look of disappointment, there was a hint of panic in his eyes that he didn't even notice. In his abuse script, the heroine had never taken the initiative to hit the brakes, let alone held respect up to him like a mirror, reflecting his embarrassment. I lowered my eyelashes, my fingertips brushing the edge of the sofa gently. My voice softened, yet it struck deeper than my sharp words just now. Actually, I know you might be afraid that I'm really after your money. After all, your mother came to see me. You must have doubts. But it's been 3 years, Caden. If I had wanted to take the easy way out, why wait until now? My words were like a feather, brushing softly against his heart. He opened his mouth, finally squeezing out a less harsh sentence, I didn't. I know you didn't mean it, I cut off his defense, my eyes glistening with tears that didn't fall. Abused heroines relied on crying for sympathy. I relied on empathy-based manipulation. You're just too fixated on pure love, afraid it will be tarnished by money. But love isn't that fragile. True love is me saving my salary for 6 months to buy you custom cufflinks, and you extending a hand when my grandmother is sick, not offering me $1 million and asking, will you or won't you? Caden's face gradually turned red, not the liverish red of anger, but a faint pink of embarrassment. He unconsciously tightened his belt, the Hermes buckle glinted under the light, like a shackle he had put on himself. For grandmother's surgery. I've arranged for the best doctors at Denver Medical Center. You don't have to worry about the cost. I know you did, I smiled gently, standing up and walking slowly toward him, stopping at a distance where he could clearly see the sincerity in my eyes. That's why I'm even sadder. You obviously care about me, so why do you have to speak in the most hurtful way? It's like a child who wants to hug his mother but throws a tantrum and pushes her away instead. This struck Caden's soft spot completely. Raised by his mother's belief that value is measured by money, he had hated it verbally but unconsciously adopted this way of interacting, hiding his insecurities behind toughness, wrapping his care in humiliation. Now that I had pointed it out, his eyes softened instantly. He even took half a step forward, his voice dropping lower, Ella, I sneered inwardly, but outwardly I maintained that disappointed yet sensible look, taking a slight step back to avoid his approach. Don't overthink it. I'm not blaming you. It's just that grandmother is still in the hospital, and I don't have the mood to think about anything else. If you're tired, go rest first. I'll sleep in the guest room tonight. This retreat completely disrupted Caden's rhythm. He had probably planned to apologize, even to follow my lead and say, let's make things right, but I wasn't going to give him that chance. Would the heroine in an abuse novel forgive the hero just because he apologized? That was too easy on him. I wanted him to taste the feeling of wanting to get close, but being unable, to make him take the initiative to crush his ridiculous pride and offer it to me. Sure enough, Caden froze, his eyes filled with shock and even a hint of panic. You're going to sleep in the guest room. Otherwise? I tilted my head, my tone as innocent as a harmless cat. You didn't want to. I can't force you, can I? Love requires mutual respect, doesn't it? He stared at me for a long time, his Adam's apple bobbing again. Suddenly, he reached out and grabbed my wrist, not too tightly, but with a cautious, tentative grip. No need for the guest room. You sleep in my room, I'll sleep in the study. I almost laughed out loud, but I kept a straight face. Is that a good idea? People might think we're fighting if they find out. No one will say anything. Caden's tone held a hint of urgency, his grip on my wrist tightening slightly. You don't overthink it. I just think the quilt in the guest room is thin, and you might catch a cold. After all, Colorado nights are much colder than Los Angeles. It was such a clumsy excuse, even he didn't sound convinced. Looking at the panic and compromise in his eyes, I gently pulled my hand away but didn't go far. Instead, I turned around, facing away from him. All right then, thank you. But Caden, I still hope you can figure it out. Love isn't something you can manipulate as you please, and I'm not the heroine in your script who comes and goes at your call. Without waiting for his response, I walked straight toward the master bedroom. I heard a soft sigh from behind me, and the smile on my lips finally couldn't be contained. So what if he was the hero of an abuse novel? As long as I tore down his arrogance and prejudice, and replaced it with respect and understanding, he would have to follow my lead. After all, the author was out of the picture now. I was the one writing the script. My fingertips brushed Caden's firm pectoral muscles, warm and hard, completely different from the false, vulgar settings in the bad novel. Caden's body stiffened slightly, his breathing quicker than before. His eyes held confusion, excitement, and a hint of helplessness at being completely under my control. He had probably never met such a heroine, one who didn't cry according to the script, didn't beg humbly for love, but instead acted like a master, slowly savoring his reaction. I pulled my hand back, gently brushing the hem of my skirt, my tone as casual as talking about the weather. Caden, you see, respect isn't earned through humiliation, and attraction isn't gained through coercion. Once, in your eyes, I was that money-hungry poor girl. But now, I can help you catch the fraudster wanted by the Denver police, earn praise from the Boulder Police Department as a model citizen, and invite your friends into the pool to help you see who's worth keeping and who's hiding bad intentions. Caden opened his mouth to say something, but I cut him off with a look. I took a step forward, standing only a fist's distance away from him, close enough to see my clear reflection in his eyes, a figure no longer cowardly, no longer at the mercy of others. Do you think I'll be like the old Ella Carter, forgiving you for saying I'm sorry, or being grateful for your crumbs of charity? Caden, you're too naive. The heroine in the bad novel had no self, but I do. I've been to hell and escaped, so I know exactly what I want. I want my grandmother to be safe. I want to have my own money, so I don't have to look at anyone's face. I want freedom, to do what I want without being tied down by abuse plot lines. And I want to see, if there's truly equal love in this world, not one person looking down on the other, not one person giving alms to the other. I raised my hand, gently touching the rodeo medal on his chest, the cold metal texture seeping through his shirt. Now you think I'm amazing, but if I were still the Ella who had to kneel and beg you for grandmother's medical bills, would you even glance at me? Caden's face turned pale instantly, his Adam's apple bobbing as he struggled to find a rebuttal. He probably knew the answer was no. Once trapped by the arrogance assigned to him by the author, he couldn't see Ella's efforts, only seeing her poverty as an original sin, and her pleas as greed. But now, I had pulled him out of that false narrative, forcing him to see reality. His so-called pure love was nothing but selfishness built on his privileged background. I chuckled softly, turning toward the living room sofa, and leaving Caden standing there alone, like a child stripped of all his confidence. Keep the medal as a souvenir that you've finally learned to respect, and that I've finally become the person I want to be. By the way, Martha made your favorite Texas barbecue, a common dish in Colorado. If you're hungry, go eat. I'm going to call grandmother to ask about her post-op recovery. Walking to the sofa, I didn't sit down. Instead, I picked up my phone and quickly opened the call interface with grandmother. I heard soft footsteps behind me. Caden didn't approach, just stood not far away, watching me quietly. I knew that from this moment on, the script between us was completely rewritten. No longer would it be the hero abuses the heroine 1,000 times, and the heroine still loves him like her first love. Instead, I stood on equal ground, telling him, if you want to be with me, you have to play by my rules. The moment the call connected, grandmother's gentle voice came through the receiver. The coldness on my face melted instantly, and I broke into a truly relaxed smile. Caden watched from behind, the awe in his eyes gradually turning into soft warmth. He had probably finally realized that I wasn't some special heroine, just an ordinary person who wanted to live well and love her family. And this ordinariness was far more powerful than all the false abuse settings. The doctor's voice still held remorse on the other end of the line, but my fingers holding the phone didn't tremble much. Sunlight streamed through the windows of the Denver Medical Center corridor, casting long light spots on the floor, like the old quilt grandmother used to hang out to dry in her yard in Boulder, warm and slightly dazzling. I said softly to the phone, "Thank you. I know you did your best." After hanging up, I stood there in a daze for a few seconds, not overcome with grief, but suddenly remembering yesterday when I was peeling a Colorado sweet apple for grandmother. She had held my hand and said, "Ella, I'll be at peace even if I'm gone." She had known then. I pulled out my phone and found the video the nurse had taken yesterday. In it, grandmother leaned against the hospital bed, smiling as I cut the apple into small pieces, sunlight falling on her silver hair, soft and gentle. Caden's video call popped up just then, his handsome face on the screen filled with anxiety. "Ella, why aren't you replying to my messages? Is it grandmother?" I answered, propping the phone up on a chair in the corridor, the camera pointing at the light on the ceiling. "Grandmother's gone." The voice on the other end went silent. After a long while, I heard Caden's hurried footsteps. I'm coming right over. Wait for me at the hospital, don't be alone. No need, I cut him off, my tone calm beyond my own surprise. I want to stay with grandmother for a while. You coming would only be a distraction. It wasn't intentional alienation. I knew the routine in abuse novels all too well. At times like this, the hero would rush over, hug the heroine, and say, "I'll be with you." But that shallow comfort was far less meaningful than me quietly recalling the days when grandmother sewed me denim dolls, and picked my favorite Colorado wild berries from the trash. After hanging up, I went to the nurse's station to take care of the formalities. The young nurse handed me grandmother's belongings with red eyes, a small moose, Colorado's iconic animal, sewn from old denim, stuffed with a few coins grandmother had saved, and a yellowed photo of me as a child smiling on the old pickup truck grandmother had found. I held these things to my chest, as if holding the last bit of warmth grandmother had left me. Walking to the ward door, I saw Elias White standing there, his white coat immaculate, his face expressionless, yet holding an insulated food container. When he saw me, he held it out. Martha said grandmother liked millet porridge. I asked the kitchen to make some, thinking it might be useful. I took the container, my fingertips touching his, cold, like the temperature of his hands when he held a scalpel. Thank you. He said no more, simply following me into the ward. Grandma lay on the bed, her face peaceful as if she were asleep. I poured out the millet porridge, stirring it gently with a spoon. The steam curled upward, blurring my vision. Elias stood aside, silent yet unyielding, just as he had been in the operating room, watching over quietly. It wasn't long before Caleb Thorne arrived anyway. Clutching one of my thick coats, he burst into the ward breathlessly, his steps faltering when he saw Elias and me. I looked up at him. I told you not to come. Why did you come anyway? He walked over, draping the coat over my shoulders, his voice hoarse. I was worried about you. The corridors in North Carolina hospitals are too cold, don't catch a chill. I didn't refuse his kindness, just gestured to the millet porridge on the table. Dr. White brought this. Grandma didn't get to eat it, you have it. Caleb glanced at Elias, then at me, picking up the spoon and sipping the porridge slowly without a word. It was Elias who spoke first. My assistant has already taken care of the follow-up formalities here. You don't need to worry about a thing. Let me know if you need anything. With that, he turned and left, his footsteps light so as not to disturb us. Only Caleb, Grandma, and I remained in the ward. After finishing the porridge, Caleb set the bowl down, gently touching my arm. Ella, if you're sad, cry. Don't hold it in. I looked at Grandma's face and shook my head. Grandma wouldn't want to see me crying. She suffered so much in her life, and she left peacefully in the end. I should be happy for her. But when I kept vigil at the funeral parlor that night, I couldn't hold back any longer. The candle flames flickered, casting light on Grandma's portrait. I sat on a futon, hugging the small cloth bluebird, a simplified version of North Carolina's state bird, the northern cardinal, sewn from old cotton, tears falling silently. Caleb sat beside me, saying nothing, just taking off his coat and wrapping it around me, sharing my silence. The next day, Marcus and Cole came too. Marcus held a bouquet of white chrysanthemums, his expression awkward. I came to see Grandma off one last time. Cole held out an envelope. It's a little something to help give Grandma a proper send-off. I didn't take Cole's envelope, nor did I let Marcus stay long. Thank you for coming, but Grandma loved peace. I'll handle the funeral arrangements myself. Marcus froze, saying no more. He set down the chrysanthemums and left. Cole looked at me, raising an eyebrow. You're much tougher than before. It's not toughness, I replied. It's knowing what I want. Once I thought I could rely on others for everything. Now I realize, only when you stand firm on your own 2 feet can you protect the people you care about, even if there's no one left to protect now. Cole smiled, not insisting. As he turned to leave, he said, Call me if you need anything. Grandma's funeral was simple, only Caleb, a few elderly neighbors who had scavenged with Grandma in the suburbs of Raleigh, and me. On the day of the burial, the sun shone brightly. I placed the cloth bluebird and the photo in the coffin, whispering to Grandma's tombstone, "Grandma, I'll live well, happily. You can rest assured." On the way back, Caleb held my hand, his palm warm. I didn't pull away, just watching the North Carolina countryside pass by outside the window, endless tobacco fields and pine forests. For the first time in a long while, my heart felt calm. I had endured the pain of the bad novel, dismantled the clichés of the abuse plot, and now that Grandma was gone, I could finally live for myself completely. Back at the villa in Charlotte, I opened my live streaming account and posted a short video. The screen showed tomatoes and green beans from Grandma's small garden, with the caption, "Grandma is gone. From now on, I'll see the world for her." In the comments section, messages of comfort poured in like a tide. "Sister, you've got this. We're here for you, Grandma is watching over you from heaven. Be well, you're so strong, we admire you." Caleb leaned over to look at my phone, saying softly, "If you don't feel like live streaming, take a break." I shook my head, tapping the live button and pointing the camera at the sky outside the window. "Sisters, thank you for your concern. I'm okay. I just wanted to tell you, no matter what happens, never give up. Like me, I escaped from a bad novel, struggled through an abuse plot, and now Grandma is gone, but I still believe the future will be bright." Gifts began flooding the live stream again, this time, no petty competitions between men, just encouragement from sisters. I smiled and said, "Don't send gifts. Instead, let's learn about North Carolina's legal aid resources together. Next time something happens, we'll be able to protect ourselves properly." Caleb sat beside me, watching me chat enthusiastically with the sisters in the live stream, his eyes filled with tenderness. I knew that from now on, I would no longer be controlled by the plot, no longer wrong myself for the sake of a man. I would earn money with my own hands, share life with my sisters, and live the way Grandma had hoped, carefree and shining brightly. The sound of crying in the live stream came and went, like feathers dampened by rain, gently settling on everyone's hearts. I slowed my pace, my voice soft as cotton yet unshakably firm. "Debt isn't scary. What's scary is trapping yourself in the cycle of 'I'm sorry.' Think about it, he used your credit card to get cash advances, breaking your trust. He cheated on you and disappeared, abandoning his responsibilities. None of these mistakes were ever yours." I paused, picking up the North Carolina General Statutes and Uniform Commercial Code from the table, flipping to the pages I had marked earlier. "I've been studying these lately. They clearly state that fraudulently using someone else's credit card for substantial amounts constitutes credit card fraud. Reporting him to the police isn't hurting him, it's helping yourself get back what's rightfully yours, and making him take responsibility for his actions. As for his mother being sick, girl, someone who truly loves you, no matter how hard things get at home, would never treat you with deception and betrayal. If he were really desperate, he would have talked to you, worked with you to find a solution, not run off with your money." The crying on the other end gradually subsided, replaced by soft sniffles. But my parents will be disappointed. They always say I'm too naive, too easy to trust people. Disappointment isn't because you're stupid, it's because they care about you," I said, remembering how Grandma used to say, "Ella, it's okay to get hurt. Just remember to avoid it next time." My voice softened further. "Call your parents right now and tell them the truth. Do you think they'd rather see you carrying this debt alone, even thinking of doing something foolish, or stand with you, report it to the police, and solve the problem together? Family is always your support, not your judge." Comments raced across the screen. "Sister is absolutely right, girl, don't be silly. Report it immediately." I went through something similar. I got some of my money back after reporting it. I glanced at the screen, continuing to speak to the girl on the phone. "See? So many sisters are here to help you. You're not alone, and forgiving him isn't your only option. Right now, find a safe place, like outside the Charlotte Police Department, or with your parents, then call the police. Gather all the evidence of him using your card, receipts, chat logs, everything. If you don't know what to say, I'll teach you. The girl fell silent for a few minutes, then the sound of rustling footsteps came. Sister Ella, I'm outside the police station now. It's windy and I'm still a little scared. Don't be afraid, I smiled into the microphone. Look how bright the lights of the police station are, that's the light protecting you. Go inside, tell the police exactly what happened, and they'll help you. Once you're done, if you want to talk more, come back to my live stream anytime. I'll be here with the sisters. After ending the call, I looked at the screen filled with comments like "Sister is so gentle," and "learned a lot." My heart suddenly warm. Caleb walked over with a cup of hot cinnamon apple cider, placing it beside me. Your eyes were shining when you were talking to that girl. I took a sip of the cider, the warmth sliding down my throat. Once, in the bad novel, I could only watch as I was hurt, as the people around me were controlled by the plot. Now, being able to help these sisters makes me happier than earning any amount of money. From that day on, my live stream gained a regular segment, Ella's legal class. I invited Officer Dylan from the Charlotte Police Department, who had helped with Grandma's funeral arrangements, and law student friends to join, teaching the sisters how to protect their property, deal with deception in relationships, and even how to write a valid promissory note. Sometimes Caleb would listen in too, taking notes in a notebook, saying, "I'll help you organize cases later." During one live stream, the girl who had been scammed connected again. This time, her voice was bright and clear. "Sister Ella, the police found that guy. He paid back some of the money and wrote an IOU for the rest. My parents didn't blame me, they even helped me pay off the remaining debt. I got a new job in Raleigh and I'm doing great." Looking at her smiling face on the screen, I felt happier than if I had earned the money myself. See? As long as you're willing to stand up, there's no obstacle you can't overcome. If something happens again, don't carry it alone. Remember, you have us. Gradually, my live stream became not just a place for sisters to share their worries and learn, but a small women's mutual aid platform. Some shared their career experiences, others recommended reliable legal consultation channels, and still others offered advice to sisters in trouble. I took part of the $300 million I had earned earlier, and established the Bluebird Mutual Aid Fund, named after North Carolina's state bird, specifically to help girls who had been deceived in relationships and burdened with debt, covering their legal fees, living expenses, and giving them the courage to start over. Caleb watched me busily working every day, never saying a word like "don't overwork yourself." Instead, he quietly helped me organize fund materials, using his connections to recruit reliable lawyers and financial professionals. One night, he hugged me from behind, his chin resting on my shoulder. "Ella, I used to think love was about possession and control. But watching you help all these sisters, I realize, true love is watching you become the person you want to be." I turned around, pinching his cheek. "You're learning fast. But don't think you can slack off. You still have to help me organize the North Carolina Legal Aid Manual." He nodded with a smile, the tenderness in his eyes like crushed starlight. "I'll do whatever you say." I leaned against his chest, watching the night view outside the window, my heart filled with peace. Once in the bad novel, I thought freedom meant breaking free from a man's control. Now I understood, true freedom was having the ability to protect yourself and the courage to help others. Grandma had been right. I would live well, not just for myself but for all girls like me, helping them shine brightly too. When Sierra Vance was taken away by the police, her eyes were filled with resentment, staring at me like poisoned daggers. I stood by the window in the corridor of Charlotte Medical Center, watching the police car roar away. Officer Dylan patted my shoulder. "We never would have found her so quickly without the tracker you planted in advance. The Vance family's mess goes deep. You've done a great service." I smiled, saying nothing. Deep down, I knew it wasn't just about planting a tracker in advance. I had long figured out the abuse novel cliché that villains always cause trouble. From the moment Caleb had suddenly thrown that Charlotte Country Club party, I had guessed the Vances wouldn't go down without a fight. After all, in the original novel, Sierra had even faked a car accident to get a heart transplant. Now she was just using a more direct method, kidnapping. Caleb ran over, clutching my hand so tightly his knuckles turned white. Ella, are you okay? Did you get hurt anywhere? I shouldn't have left you alone. I'm fine, I interrupted his self-blame, pulling my hand free to pat his arm. See? I'm perfectly okay. But from now on, no more parties where you introduce me to everyone. They only alert the enemy. He froze, then smiled bitterly. I just wanted everyone to know you're mine, so no one would dare hurt you. I never thought it would get you into trouble. I appreciate the thought, I said, softening my tone at the worry in his eyes. But from now on, let's discuss things together. Don't make plans alone. After all, I'm not the same Ella Carter who needed your protection. He nodded vigorously, like an obedient child. I smiled to myself. This abuse novel CEO was becoming more and more normal. No longer the paranoid man who only knew how to express love through money and control, he had learned to worry and listen. News of the Vance family's downfall spread quickly across North Carolina. Vance Group declared bankruptcy and liquidation. The Vance children were either implicated in crimes or on the run. Once a prominent wealthy family, they collapsed overnight. Reporters tried to interview me, but I refused them all. I didn't want to be thrust into the spotlight again. Rather than being a North Carolina hero, I wanted to focus on making the Bluebird Mutual Aid Fund a success. I was reviewing women's entrepreneurship projects in the fund's office when my assistant suddenly came in to report, Ms. Carter, a woman claiming to be your birth mother is here. She says she's the author. My pen paused mid-air. I raised an eyebrow. Let her in. A woman dressed in casual clothes walked in, her hair messy, an ingratiating smile on her face. My dear daughter, long time no see. I just got out, so I thought I'd come check on you. I leaned back in my chair, crossing my arms over my chest, my tone cold. Check on me? Or try to drag me back into that bad novel to be your puppet again? The smile froze on her face. She rubbed her hands together. Come on, I'm just joking. The things I wrote before, they weren't great. I've reflected on it. Reflect? I scoffed. Are you reflecting on being reported, or on the female characters you trampled on so casually? The heroine in that lousy novel, Ella Carter in the abuse plot, and all those girls Sierra deemed lowborn, were they nothing but pawns to drive the plot in your eyes? She hung her head, her voice growing softer. I was just catering to the readers. Besides, the reason I came is to talk to you about something. That character Sierra, do you think we could? No. I cut her off sharply. What you wrote in that bad novel is your business. But don't you dare try to meddle with me again, or alter any part of this world's plot. If you dare to act recklessly, I'll report you without hesitation. She sighed, looking defeated. Fine, fine, I get it. I just thought. Sierra's ending must have been satisfying for you. Didn't she want a healthy body? There are plenty of opportunities in that lousy novel, though I wonder if she can survive them. I said no more, waving her away. Watching her lonely retreat, I felt not an ounce of sympathy. Authors always think they're the masters of the world, forgetting that once their characters gain consciousness, they're no longer puppets to be manipulated. My escape from that bad novel, my journey to become the person I want to be in the abuse plot, none of it was thanks to her kindness. It was all due to my own struggles and resistance. After seeing the author off, Caleb called, his tone cautious. Ella, would you like to have dinner tonight? I booked a table at your favorite Southern-style restaurant in Charlotte. I glanced at the sky outside the window and smiled. Sure. But this time, I'm paying. That evening at the restaurant, as I skillfully cut into the grilled pork chops, a North Carolina specialty, Caleb suddenly spoke up. Ella, have you ever thought about our future? I looked up at him, my eyes questioning. He set down his knife and fork, lacing his fingers together on the table, his tone serious. I know I've done a lot to hurt you in the past. But now, I want to be with you properly. No more cold wars, no more making you suffer. If you're willing, we can take it slow. No rush to get married, but I want you to know, I'm serious about this. Looking into his sincere eyes, I felt a sudden stir in my heart. In that bad novel, I'd grown used to men's hypocrisy and selfishness. I'd never imagined I'd meet someone willing to put aside their pride and take things slow with me. I smiled, cutting off a piece of pork chop and holding it out to him. Taste this first. As for our future, we'll see. But if you ever dare to give me the cold shoulder again, I'll really replace you. His eyes lit up and he quickly opened his mouth to take the pork chop, like a child receiving candy. I understand. No more Cold Wars. From now on, I'll talk to you about everything. Watching his joyful expression, my heart was filled with peace. Once I'd thought freedom meant breaking free from all men's constraints, living a solitary life. But now I understood, true freedom isn't about rejecting all intimate relationships. It's about retaining your sense of self within those relationships, being respected and understood. Caleb might not be the perfect partner, but he's willing to change and learn how to love, and that's enough. After dinner, we walked hand in hand along Charlotte's streets. The evening breeze gently blew, carrying the faint scent of pine forests and tobacco fields. Suddenly, Caleb stopped, pulling a small box from his pocket. Inside was a simply designed ring. Ella, his voice trembled slightly, this isn't an engagement ring. It's just a gift I wanted to give you. I know you don't like anything too expensive. I designed this myself, and I had your name engraved on it. I picked up the ring, running my finger over the inner band. There, etched clearly, were the characters Ella. Simple yet exquisite. I smiled, slipping it onto my finger. It's beautiful. Thank you. He stared at the ring on my hand, grinning like a fool. I'm glad you like it. We continued walking, the streetlights stretching our shadows long. As I looked at the ring on my hand, my heart suddenly brimmed with hope. I knew that in the days ahead, we might face all kinds of troubles and new villains might appear. But I wasn't afraid anymore, because I had the ability to protect myself, the courage to help other sisters in need, and someone who was willing to face difficulties with me. To me, that abuse novel was never truly abusive. Because I knew my fate was in my own hands, and my life could only be written by me. Carrying Grandma's blessings, my sister's trust, and Caleb's sincerity, I would live well, becoming the person I wanted to be, and a light that illuminated the way for others.